In this screencast, we're going to be covering the WYSIWYG, which stands for What You See is What You Get. And everybody is using that same editor. And there are a lot of features to cover, so let's get started. And I've already pre-filled this with some example text for us, so you don't have to watch me type. The first thing we want to do is add a heading. So I'm going to highlight this first group of text, and this first drop down will expose all of our heading options. We have 1 through 6. Formatted is rarely ever used. And just to note, the H1 is already going to be used for your page title, so I always start with the H2. Okay, and we've seen our first crazy thing that the WYSIWYG can do. So we've changed that, but for some reason it changed the text below. If I highlight that text below, all I need to do is just change the format back to normal. And things like that can happen, and if you ever see an issue with what the output is or your expected output is, I would always use this option right here, and it's titled Show Blocks. So I'm going to keep that option on for now so you can see what it does. Right now you can see that this is an H2 and everything else is a paragraph. And if I ever add a space below, so like that, it will actually create an empty paragraph. If you ever have some content with a bunch of spaces and you're like, what's going on? I can see that there's a bunch of empty paragraphs. So let's format some of the content here, and it's pretty simple to do. Let's choose bold, and we have the option to make something italic. These are toggle buttons, so if you ever want to remove it, you just click the button again once it's highlighted. Very simple. The one thing to note is you can overuse bold and italics. If you wanted to highlight this whole thing and make it bold, you've removed all of the power from this formatting option, because if you say everything's strong, then nothing's strong. Strong is another term for bold, so if everything's bold, then nothing's bold, because you've removed all of that emphasis. Really, it's used for a single word or a very small grouping of words. So you really want to add that emphasis or that bold strategically. And okay, so made a few things bold and italic, and you can make it bold italic if you'd like. There's nothing wrong with that. And if, let's say you went crazy and you're like, oh, I don't like how all this is formatted, this third option here in this group, if you hover over it, it'll tell you it removes the format. So if I click that, all of the bold and italic is removed. So I'm going to undo that so you can see the change. Now let's add a link. So if I just highlight some text that I want to make a link, I can click that link icon and then give it a fully qualified URL. So https:// that'll give us the link. If I ever double click it, it'll give me the option to edit it. When it's highlighted, I can even click this button to remove that link. So everything looks good so far. Now let's say we want to make a unordered list. So I have that kind of started already here, and all I need to do is highlight that text and click the unordered list button. And if I ever want to make like a indented list, I can use these buttons here to increase the indent, and if I wanted to, I could do that. And if I want to remove it, I can click this button to remove or decrease the indent. So everything looks good. Let's say I wanted to change this. Instead of an unordered list, so a bulleted list or unordered list, I can make it an ordered list, which will add the numbers. So you can toggle back and forth if you'd like. So that looks good. I did make a mistake with that, so there you go. And okay, that looks much better. So my lists are good. Lists are pretty easy to do. The next group of options are aligning. Left align, center align, and right align. I would reserve this specifically only for media such as pictures and iframes. Please don't use this to center align all your text or your heading or anything like that. Keep a standard document that has all the content left aligned. It just looks more professional. This isn't a publisher brochure. Like, you really don't want to have everything center aligned. You want to keep this really professional looking. So I would avoid changing any of the alignment for the text. So really just use it for, like, if you wanted to left align your image, that would be perfectly fine. And the photo and the iframe will be covered in a separate screencast. Now we have this text right here. Let's make this a block quote. And a block quote is really good for, like, pulling someone's quote out, and it doesn't show the formatting here, but really what it's gonna do is gonna be shown when you actually save this and view it in context of your website. So we haven't done that so far. Really, biggest thing to note is we're only looking at the style that's provided by the WYSIWYG. We want to see the styling that we get or inherit from the site's theme. So let's save it. So the only real thing that's kind of different is block quotes are going to be italic in your site design. Everything else looks how I would expect it to be for the style and design of your site. But it's always good to preview your changes, your WYSIWYG edits within the context of your page. So let's click edit again. And the other options will be covered in separate screencasts. This show blocks is a great troubleshooting tool. The only thing it doesn't highlight, which is kind of odd, is lists don't get highlighted. But I mean, it's pretty obvious what it is. But if I uncheck that, one cool thing that you might see, let's see if we can do it. Yeah, if you highlight within some sections, not all sections will show you this, but you'll see sometime this little line with this insert paragraph here, and it gives you the ability to quickly insert an empty paragraph. And if you just click it, it'll just, add an empty paragraph where you can add some text. And then if I use that, I can see my paragraph. Okay, that's pretty simple. And then the last few options are like cut, copy, and then these are your pasting tools. I've covered pasting in content from an external source like Word in a separate screencast, so I recommend watching that. The cut, copy, really most people are going to be using your shortcut key commands from your computer, so you don't really need to worry about those. So that's it for this introduction to the WYSIWYG. Thanks for watching.